If you want to go from being a good product manager to a truly great one, what's the one book you have to read? Well, if you're in the tech world, pretty much everyone will give you the same answer: Marty Kagan's Inspired. So today, we're going to break down the key lessons from this book, lessons that will totally flip how you think about building products.
Okay, so this is not just another business book you put on yourself. For a lot of folks in Silicon Valley and beyond, this is basically the Bible of modern product management. And you got to ask, why? Well, it's because it shines a massive spotlight on the huge, often invisible gap between how elite companies, the Googles, the Amazons, how they work versus how most of the world is still trying to build products. This quote right here, this is the heart and soul of the entire book. What Kagan is really saying is that most products don't fail because of bad code. Nope. They fail because of a lack of imagination, a failure of validation. We have all these brilliant engineers who are just wasting their incredible talent building these perfectly engineered products that, in the end, solve no real problem for anyone. It's a tragedy. So how does this even happen? Well, Kagan learned this lesson the hard way back when he was at HP. Picture this. His team, full of absolute geniuses, spent over a year building this technically amazing AI product. They launched it, they popped the champagne, and crickets. It was a total flop. Nobody bought it. And that painful failure is what led him to figure out the flawed process that, honestly, most companies are still stuck in today. Hey, does this look a little familiar? I bet it does. Ideas come down from the top. They get shoved into a business case, slapped onto a roadmap, and then chucked over the wall to designers, who then toss it over to engineering. Kagan calls this a waterfall process, right? It's just this linear step-by-step thing. And here's the real kicker. You might think you're being agile because you're doing 2-week sprints, but if the ideas are still flowing one way like this, you're not agile. You're just a feature factory running a little faster.
Yeah, this whole old model is basically built on a house of cards. First off, it pretends we can predict how much money an idea will make up front, which is impossible. Second, you don't find out if customers even want the thing until after it's built. That is the most expensive and painful moment to learn you got it all wrong. In this world, your engineers are just treated like coders, not creative problem solvers. And designers, their job is to just make it look pretty, to put lipstick on a pig. But the biggest tragedy of all, it's the massive opportunity cost of what your amazing team could have been building instead.
All right, so if that whole system is broken, how do you actually fix it? Kagan says it's not about some new fancy tool or a slightly better workflow. It requires a deep, fundamental shift in your mindset. It's all about building teams of missionaries, not mercenaries.
This slide just nails the difference. Mercenaries are like hired guns. You give them a list of features and they build them. Their success is measured by shipping those features. That's called output. But a missionary team, they are completely different. You give them a problem to solve, like, hey, let's figure out how to reduce customer churn by 10%. Their success is measured by actually hitting that goal. That's an outcome. That is the goal, to have teams who are completely obsessed with solving the customer's problem, not just checking boxes on a feature list. So, you want to create a team of missionaries. Awesome. How do you actually do that? Well, Kagan gives us a framework, and it's built on 3 pillars that hold up every single great product company out there. So, pillar number 1 is the team. And listen, we're not talking about some temporary group of people you throw together for a project. We're talking about small, dedicated, cross-functional teams that stick together for the long haul. You can almost think of them like a little startup inside the larger company. The product manager, the designer, the engineers, they're all in it together from day one. And this gives them the autonomy and the ownership to actually solve problems instead of just taking orders. Pillar number 2 is all about the product, and this one's a big one. It's about killing the feature roadmap. I know, scary, right? But instead of a checklist of features handed down from the executives, great teams are given a really compelling product vision and a set of business problems to solve. Their job isn't to just execute a list. It's to discover the best way to help the company achieve its real goals, like boosting user engagement or breaking into a new market. And that brings us to the 3rd pillar, the process. This is not that one-way, linear handoff we talked about earlier. No way. Great teams work on 2 parallel tracks at the same time, continuously: product discovery and product delivery. What does that mean? It means they are constantly learning what they should build at the very same time that they are shipping high-quality code. It's a constant loop of learning and building, not a one-way street to nowhere. The engine that drives this whole new process is something called product discovery. And its whole purpose is to tackle the 4 big scary risks before you write a single line of production code. First, there's a value risk. Will customers actually want this? Will they pay for it? Then usability risk. Can a normal person even figure out how to use this thing? Third is feasibility risk. Can our engineers actually build this with the skills, time, and tech we have? And finally, viability risk. Does this even work for our business? Is it legal? Is it ethical? Does it fit with how we sell things? Answering these questions early is the secret to avoiding building things that nobody wants.
Look, if there is just one single piece of advice you take away from Inspired that will make you a better product manager, it's this. It's a fundamental shift in where you put your focus. This is probably the most famous line from the entire book, and for good reason. Let's be honest, your first idea for a solution, it's almost always wrong. And if you're in love with your solution, you'll defend it blindly, even as the ship is sinking. But if you fall in love with the customer's problem, you'll keep trying things, you'll keep experimenting, you'll iterate relentlessly until you finally discover a solution that actually works.
And really, that's the ultimate question that Inspired asks every single one of us. Are you a mercenary, just getting paid to ship features? Or are you a missionary, truly obsessed with solving real problems for your customers? Because Kagan's point is crystal clear. Your answer to that question is going to define not just whether your product succeeds, but your entire career.